Let's start with the Global Liquidity Scorecard. I'm really proud of this because these scorecards have taken so long. I mean, they've been such an exhausting process, but they're so helpful because they give you in one unified view. If I want to be able to look at the entirety of liquidity across all major developed markets in the world that will drive over 95% of all liquidity, you can see that through the liquidity scorecard. So right now, when I look at the Global Liquidity Scorecard, I can see that the US Fed Reserve is adding liquidity itself, which is a bullish indication. But I can see that cash returning to the markets, which is also positive. I can see that the net liquidity is 5.87 trillion. And then I also look at the overnight funding rate and be able to just track this spread here itself. So that's helpful on its own, but it's even more helpful when you look at it historically across multiple time periods. So for right now, if I'm looking at liquidity specifically for the US, I could see that you see in purple here is the Fed balance sheet itself. And it's finally now reverting back up and expanding, which we've been patiently waiting for. You can see that the US M2 money supply has also been growing. Liquidity has been rising. The reverse repo has been declining, which is okay. The Treasury or the TGA account has been slowly rising. And then what I like to use a lot is the M2 forward projection. So if you take the M2 money supply and then you forward project it 12 weeks, it'll be really helpful to be able to see whether or not the price of Bitcoin is going to go up or down. So if you just take the current price of Bitcoin and then you fast forward, project forward 12 weeks or 3 months, usually that will give you a very good indication of where the price of Bitcoin is. So you can look at this across a much longer time period and you'll be able to see a very clear pattern. And then you can see the price of Bitcoin as just one asset that you can pick and choose others. But really, ultimately, this view is helpful because it allows you to very clearly see, okay, money supply is 22 trillion, balance sheet 6.7, money parked is 2 billion, et cetera, which is about half of what the actual moving average is. And then a lot of this data is updated every day to every week. You can see the time frame here. So you'll be able to see, is it daily, weekly, or monthly? And this one right now, looking at the global liquidity, you could see that the money parked at Fed is draining. And then that's, or on this particular status here, right? But you can see it across like the last 1 day, the last 2 days, the last 3 days, etc. And then you can also see if you're doing short-term funding rate-based trading strategies, you can see quite a bit here as well. And then you can see the Fed operations, market price, monetary policies, and so forth. Beauty of this is that you can also see a unified country by country view. So there's just so much detail here that if you want to dig deeper, you can keep going into as much granularity as you want. You can look at the overall liquidity regime. You can see what's available, what's not available. You can look at also specific trade signals. You can look at risk. You can look at opportunity. Possibilities are endless here in terms of what you're able to do.